here to your grand finals, Alliance versus Escape. I'm to be one here with Merlini. Game number 3. Lighter from Escape in game number 2 seemed a lot more convincing, even if they were so far ahead in game number 1.
Enabled by the Wisp, of course, and now that Alliance has first pick, things might change up a little bit.
I'm interested to see how that will turn out. Also should flag the fact that Alliance is now dire 3 games in a row. Escape, the pick priority is obviously like with Alliance for this game, but like Escape are willingly choosing Radiant so far, 2 games out of 3. Just seems interesting when... Yeah.
Okay, I want to see if they ban out the Wisp. And Alliance changing things up a little bit will not ban out the Tinker in the first phase, and Escape will ban out the Wisp. S4 immediately picking up the Dazzle. So...
Ricky Life Stealer?
Nah, that doesn't seem like Escape's style.
Low Druid is obviously one of the big ones you questioned at the end of game number 2.
Yeah, Alliance need to, like, they have picked up the Life Stealer before, but they also lost versus Quick plus Lone Druid in the other semi-finals, so... Or actually, it was just the first match. So I'm not actually sure how they want to deal with the Lone Druid if Escape pick it up, but in the first phase... Not likely to be picked up by Escape. I don't know. They actually could take Lone Druid or Tinker. I don't think you could take Tinker, especially because Alliance can just mimic the way that Advenom played against the Tinker, I think. And Radiant Jungle is fairly hard to protect. So we'll see what they go for.
Well,
okay. So.
They want to go with it.
Very
now, early Tinker.
Yeah, so Alliance now they have to... I think they need an aggressive support. Not right now, but maybe later to deal with it. So the best solutions for Tinker... Clockwork, Storm, Invoker, Nyx Assassin.
Would you really want to have a Storm though, in this game?
Storm beat Tinker very easily in the last series. If you didn't watch them, Toby.
Hi, Ben.
They used Elder Titan plus Tinker... Elder Titan plus Storm to kill the Tinker over and over, and they jacked all the stacks very early.
Well, they're gonna go for a Brewmaster instead, so more S4 style, with a Brewmaster mid. At the same time, Alliance has played around with loader playing the Brewmaster safe lane, so I would 100% lock them into it, and it's not a bad dual lane off if you want to have Brew and Dazzle together.
Yep.
So, Alliance aren't really restricted by the first 2 pickups. Obviously, Escape are a lot more obvious with what they're doing with the Tinker mid.
Still, you do need a solution versus the Tinker. Once it gets at a point of having Blink, Bots, Ags, Aether, it becomes incredibly difficult to push high ground. So, yeah, generally teams like to limit his bot timing. That's what Advenom did. Alliance... They might take a different route though. Another route is just out-laking him with just mass like hearts and just super tanky heroes. But even then, it's still hard to right-click towers because of that. Occasionally, you'll see teams push very early on versus the Tinker before he can actually get his Blink Dagger, and then that's pretty all-in. That's like with the Lone Druid, Pugna, these sort of heroes that can end the game very early on.
It wouldn't be that much of an all-in though, like if you ran a Lone Druid as well as a Brewmaster. Like Brewmaster does your initiation for you and you just take towers.
It's just, if it gets past 30, you're not in a good spot, which is very common versus a Tinker. But overall, they don't have a hero to really stop Tinker from blinking or marching or farming at the moment. So I wonder if they're going to go aggressive with their second support or try and outlake game. It seems like they're going to play pretty aggressively with the Brewmaster first pick.
Yeah. Well, with the Brew and a Dazzle, you already want the Brew up in the front lines. I'm surprised they ban out the Terrorblade after Tinker seems to be one of the more effective counters against him with the Aghanims upgrade.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised too, but maybe they're scared of them ending the game early because Terrorblade is really good at that.
Yeah, Terrorblade will be able to push you.
Another solution that we saw a little bit is the Spectre. I definitely know that's in Loda's arsenal. I just don't know if they want to go for that, but Spectre is It's also, I think, pretty good with Brewmaster because they can like start a fight off. You just haunt in on somebody and they're forced to fight into the Brewmaster split. And you can stick on the Tinker, stop his blink. Might not be able to stop his rearm, but you can stop his blink.
Well, let's get the next wave up, Synderen. Something to actually help control the Brewmaster is something they have to look for. Telekinesis won't be enough. So, something that's able to stop the Brewmaster split.
Rubik's kind of okay. Some teams like Disruptor for that long duration silence. Because he has Grave, so if it's just something short like Primal Roar, let's say, and you grave him, then he'll just split immediately after. If there's not Necro books on him. But yeah. Pretty decent to counter Grave with.
I was wondering if they'd look for Skywrath Mage as well.
Skywrath's pretty good. They don't have
high points up in Seal.
They don't have Void though to combo with it.
Yeah, that was the only thing which is a little bit off. But you can still combo with the Rubik. He's not too bad, like amplifying for Tinker. But not their choice just yet.
They could also go for a Slardar. I still think like Slardar's pretty safe for them.
For escape?
Yeah, for escape it's good lockdown, so you can just burst heal, blink crush with Tinker versus very quick. Also some additional lockdown with the Rubik, Dire, Roshan potential in case they ever get to it, and they can also put it on Arrow or Kezu in case they don't know what's going on.
Well, we're gonna be running jungle. It's Synderen's Night Stalker.
This is mega greedy. There's still Riki, there's still Bounty Hunter,
well,
there's still
it could actually be Kezu. It could be Kezu as well.
Yeah, okay.
Because like the Void was banned out, we don't know what his hero is just yet. Now we get Lotus Juggernaut. So Alliance, again, playing exactly what they want to do. It's the same style of Dota they always want to play. Brewmaster mid, Juggernaut safe, bring in the Dazzle. This is comfort zone for Alliance.
The Healing Ward is especially nice versus Tinker. You don't have to go for all these defensive items like Mech and Pipe if you have the Healing Ward, because Tinker doesn't have an easy way to kill the Healing Ward. So
Is this when you want to have that hero that slips behind the lines? Like, because if this is a core Night Stalker, can you get away with like running like Bounty or Riki to slip in there, or do you just get a lone Druid core and have the bear get rid of it early on?
I think a lone Druid Tinker Night Stalker would just be way too greedy. Like Alliance have a decent like semi-push lineup right now.
Oh, okay. Aggro trial lane coming in. That's a Kezu Night Stalker and a Synderen Undying.
I think Juggernaut's one of the better heroes to deal with it though.
This is
spinning.
I cast that game with Fogged yesterday. When they ran the Synderen Undying.
That was with the Wisp. I think without a Wisp, Undying's a lot weaker because he just dies very easily past like 5 minutes. We shall see.
We thought the same thing, but then like they actually coupled nicely together. Like, and it adds a lot of pressure to the Alliance safe lane now. Like, how does Juggernaut fight in the middle of this one? It's a non-silence thing, so they have to win this lane. Like, Night Stalker is your primary form of silence now against the Brewmaster.
I think that lane's actually fine. They can easily pick up another defensive support if they're really worried about it. I think Juggernaut is one of the best heroes in dealing with try on try. You can just spin run away, and with Poor Man's Shield, it's very rare that you're gonna die.
I'm wondering if it's even worth lane dodging for Alliance, because with the Undying, at least with the Tombstone, you can force into the tier 1 tower early on.
Yeah, but if they lane dodge, like, I think a solo hero would be way more scared of that, like NP or something like that. It would easily get dome. I think with Dazzle, Juggernaut alone versus 3, they should be pretty okay. Especially because there's 2 melee. If you want to do 2 melee versus those, like, the Dazzle heal is still gonna hurt you a lot when you try and CS. So Juggernaut will be okay in CS in that lane.
Speaking of Nature's Prophet, he's gonna be picked up, so Bulldog gets levels on the off lane and then comes and joins his teammates when things get rough up on the top. Maybe that's what he's considering at the moment, but this could also mean you get like a really strong laner on the bottom up against Nature's Prophet. Like someone that does go solo, and I'm still gonna believe Lone Druid's in the pool here, with both of these teams loving it as much as they do.
Nature's Prophet's nice. Bulldog doesn't usually help out his tri lane. He usually just gets level 6 and throws his ultimate out, not actually TP. defensive support. It's gonna prove as enough of a substitute to help him out, and she's just really slow. I guess she does have pretty good anti-push with the Snake, but Snake doesn't affect Juggernaut while he's spinning, doesn't really affect the Brewlings that much, doesn't affect the Shadow Shaman with the Mass Serpent Wars, and there might be too many units for it to even hit the heroes with the help of the Nature's Prophet Treants. First Blood, when's that going to happen?
I am saying 0 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a very aggressive aggro lane, and there's going to be First Blood then.
Okay.
Play with the highest total magical or pure damage under heroes.
It's usually Tinker.
In the first 25? Okay, yeah, I'm down with that. Play with the least deaths. I kind of want to say Medusa. I kind of want to say she's going to like tank through absolutely everything and be completely ignored early on.
I kind of think Loda.
You think Loda? If Loda's in the middle of that tri lane, I'd be very concerned.
Yeah, I think I have a Dazzle behind him. I'm going to go with Loda.
I will go against you. I'm going to go with Era. Total of Blink Daggers purchased by 25 minutes in.
Definitely Tinker Brew. I think only 2. Shadow Shaman might get one though.
Early on, I go with 2.
But they have a push strat, so they might get a lot of towers, and it is
0 to 2 seems a lot safer.
It's EGM on there. I'm going with 3 to 4.
All right.
I have faith in EGM. Enter God mode.
For him to get all the money. Alliance are going to aggressively smoke into the Radiant jungle. So they're coming in. EGM actually goes boots first as well on this Shaman. Very, very aggressive. You know what? I'm going to stick to my guns with 0 to 2.
Doubt yourself, Toby. Doubt yourself.
No! I only doubt myself because you say it.
And I'm saying it right now. Doubt yourself.
Value your opinion, damn you. Boots first as well, an Admiral Bulldog. The lane's going to settle down as Escape. I'm almost waiting for them to like set up a gank here or here as Alliance try and move back in.
You just have Loda go up front, and if they telekinesis him, you just... Unless they get level 1 crippling fear, he shouldn't die.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
Yeah.
That's the same reaction. But if it secures you First Blood, then maybe...
Wait, are they going to give up both the runes? They have to turn around. Like, Loda currently is going to spin and sit on this rune. They went all the way into the jungle, and now they actually move off both the runes. So Alliance get both bounties. They pick up Loda. They'll throw him back down again. There goes your spin. Synderen did start with a decay, so Loda's down to 520 HP.
Worth for bounty.
And what's the lanes? Okay, so what we really felt was going to be an aggro tri lane is in fact Keizu heading up to the top lane. You're going to run Undying as well as Medusa in the mid, just to start with. It's just a casual decay.
Oh, they are putting quick flow.
And yeah, Yabsor's rotating down to help out Koifa, who's the Tinker on the bottom lane. So they're making sure that they get the BTs and the progression, item progression on Tinker.
And they're making sure to keep down S4. Medusa will be a pretty good matchup against the Brewmaster, sapping most of his mana and nullifying a lot of that Thunderclap attack. I have seen some Brews go early level in Drunken Haze, but Mystic Snake does a fair amount of damage, and Drunken Haze is usually only versus pure right clickers like OD or Viper or Razor sometimes.
I was going to say Synderen has one of the coolest sets of Undying.
Bulldog
with the animations to come. Yeah, he's in trouble. He has his boots, but Yapsor picks him up. They start with the decay, drop that life down, punch him as well. Koifa still got the laser available, and he waits for it. He waits for it so long, so he makes sure he gets the last hit in. And this is now going to be his early boots. And the Soul Ring is going to be coming at a very quick rate as well.
At least he hit level 2, so he doesn't have to blow a TP score down there, but not your ideal start.
Welcome back to the lane.
Yeah.
Synderen's going to have a hard time keeping this up, however. Like, he doesn't really have mana to sustain this.
He has clarity.
Like, he just burned it as well, and now Bulldog makes a break. If it's a regen rune on bottom or something like that, maybe that would help. And in fact, they're bringing Keizu over. Like, Keizu's on his way with the Void, so 2-minute rune. It's going to belong to... Okay, they'll give it to the Bounty Hunter. No, wait, to the Night Stalker.
I heard of that, Toby.
Yeah, I know you did.
Looks like top room will be saved for S4. Going with...
I'm not going to force the issue. It's like, okay, Night Stalker, yeah, you want to abandon the top lane, pop the healing ward, force their way into the tower. You actually have Arcade with Poison Touch, as opposed to Shallow Grave or Shadow Wave. So this lane doesn't have as much sustain as they probably would like.
And no Bassy. And Yapster will be TPing. Wonder if Bulldog's gonna TP to try and match.
They wanted him.
Yep, he has boots though.
Yeah, they need shackles. That's the only way that works. But it's 330 movement speed of EGM versus the 335 movement speed of Yapsor.
Still very risky for Yapsor. It's playing with fire.
Especially with the level 1 Fade Bolt, but if he doesn't, then Alliance easily push this top lane with no real contest. And all he's gonna do is just delay it up a little bit longer. Like, support can rotate over, and then again, you don't want to bring the Night Stalker. Like, Night Stalker won't want to move for another 45 seconds. It looks like they will have to let that tier 1 tower go. Very early on, only 325 seconds into the game. I mean, 3 minutes 25 into the game.
Yeah, nice build by Juggernaut going for level 2 healing ward. Very important, because he didn't start off with a Ring of Protection, so that makes the first siege push very difficult without the Bassy. But healing ward is kind of a good substitute for that.
Especially with a higher level.
Yep, Tinker doing very well already with the Soul Ring in lane, and the supports are free to stack because Bulldog has ditched.
Just bail out. He's obviously going to farm a lot more efficiently inside the jungle. Stacking also not a bad thing to do. Brewmaster as well as the Juggernaut are both capable of cleaning through stacks. It's just until the Battle Fury is up, you won't be cleaning through any ancient stacks, but that's why Synderen again, he's always very early on moving in to get these wards down. Preps up so they know exactly what they're up against, and allows Keizu to make a good decision for his rotations.
By the way, the admin has set the wrong...
Yeah, this is not 2-0 to Alliance.
It's 1-1.
Obviously admin is Swedish. He's not actually, he's Russian.
Swedish bias.
Era being initiated on RK with that poison touch. Era, God turn the shields on. He's okay with this, however. Like, he gets initiated on, but he's got a regeneration rune bottled up, so nothing of value has been lost here for Era. In fact, he moves back in, can Mystic Snake and burn a little bit off S4 too if he wants to.
And he had a Tango just in case Bulldog were to TP in.
No Quelling Blade, but one way to get it to outside the Sprout. S4's going to take a little bit of chip
nice
damage.
smoke pop from Ake.
I bet it's... Oh wait, Keizu. He lost vision for a short period of time. Era's waiting in close. They go for the Void. Yapsor with a 2.7 Fade Bolt. RK is going to drop. Another good movement coming out here from Escape and Alliance. Not looking good.
Better Ake than S4.
Oh, they find S4. Void as well. S4, he's got 2 1 charges only. They're beating into him. Era's moving over. The Shadow Wave's out, but RK does not have Shallow Grave. Admiral Bulldog also can't be part of the fight. With the Stone Gaze turning on from Era, Admiral Bulldog and RK have to walk away. And S4, you said it well, it was better not him, but it will still be him.
Nice dive by Escape, catching out S4 right before that level 6.
This is going to slow down his Blink Dagger heavily too, not to mention every other item progression he's going for.
Yeah, nice ward setup as you mentioned by Sin, placing that behind the 2-1. That has secured them a lot of kills and even forced Bulldog away from farming.
It's just good timing for it as well. Like, they knew exactly where they wanted to fight, who they wanted to fight up against. Like, slowing down Bulldog, sure, that's terrific, but they knew they could go for S4, and the vision also allowed them to chase RK further down too.
Overall though, EGM's still getting a lot of form. He's level 5 on the Shadow Shaman with Arcane boots in his inventory, so they can still push with the Shadow Shaman wards and make quick work of the rest of Escape's T1 towers. However, they will have to fight into March quite soon, as Quick was only 300 gold away from his BOTs.
I'm kind of surprised too he leveled that up. I was waiting for him to hold on to the extra points. Kira initiated on, the collapse will be there, Brewmaster instantly into the split. They need extra help, RK dropping very low, because took a lot of damage from the tower, and now with a spin from Loader, he goes under the tower, so they do find that kill. Bulldog comes in to help out, Synderen's Tombstone not doing enough work, the Brewling's focused on it, and Synderen stunned up by the Stone Brewling. The pickup on Bulldog will throw him away, allowing Synderen on 19 HP to escape out of here. Yapsor will break free of the Sprout, as Synderen denies himself up to the Ancients. But the Mass Serpent Wards are already up for EGM, up at level 6, so Alliance use this to attack harder into that tier 1 tower.
Escape had the right game plan of killing S4 before his level 6, but they were not prepared for the actual fight at level 6, and they really needed to prevent that first kill on Era. I don't believe he had enough mana for Stone Gaze, or it wasn't on cooldown, and all they needed was like 20 more seconds, I would say, and then they wouldn't have gotten level 6 on the Shadow Shaman, and they probably wouldn't have gotten the kill on Era, but Alliance striking at just the perfect time.
But now Qualifier will have these BTs with the Soul Ring, so they probably won't have another good opportunity like that again. Next time they'll have Martial Machines to deal with, high levels up in that, not to mention issues even just hitting once these lasers and the burst damage from the Tinker starts to arrive.
That's only if they push the towers in a very standard way, which is just walking up in full vision. If they smoke around with the Brew and the Juggernaut, I don't think the Tinker can stay up like that. He doesn't have Blink Dagger, so he still has to play a little bit scared, but they need to prioritize that Blink Dagger as early as possible so that he does feel safe when they're defending this last T1 or potentially T2s. And they also need to make sure they keep EGM down, because EGM Blink Dagger threat, or S4 Blink Dagger threat, but I would say more so EGM because he has the instant Hex after the Blink. That's much more problematic for the Tinker than the Blink Clap. Once they get that, they can start dealing with Koikba, but until then, they're going to have to settle for allowing him to free farm.
Well, still the consequences later.
That's never a good thing.
Just a quick scan from the Dire as they try to check out and see if anyone was waiting on the bottom lane. Kind of a weird thing to scan for when they don't really look like they have an intention of pushing out. Because you still need to S4 to get that last little bit of money to get his Blink Dagger before he really wants to do anything. Getting hit like that too. Yeah, now you see why he is so tentative about coming into that mid lane. Gets hit by one Mystic Snake and drops down to 200 HP. And this will allow Escape to push in towards the mid lane. So Fortification will be burnt. This is the first T1 tower that will go the way of Escape. There's no denial coming out.
I wonder if Bulldog's going to go for this courier kill. He sees it with the Observer Ward, but
he's going for the denial. Wait, he actually gets the denial? Wow. The Observer Ward was up, they knew what was coming. So they Drunken Haze on Synderen, he starts the TP, Stone Gaze will trigger, but Synderen's TP obviously going to be successful. They didn't have another stun up their sleeve. And they focus on the fight as opposed to the courier. Bottom lane, the Mass Serpent Ward's going to get farmed up.
They didn't even get that many last hits on it, so not so bad for Alliance, but losing that T1's a pretty big blow.
The more tier 1 towers you lose, the more freedom Tinker's going to feel.
Yep, and they aren't able to take that many fights during daytime because we're already level 7 with Darkness ready, so they 11-10 is about the moment that Alliance has to start fearing, and then if they play too passively, then Tinker's going to get his Blink Dagger in time, so they have again a very small window to make use of daytime plus Blink Dagger on the Brewmaster before the Blink Dagger on the Tinker hits. And it looks like they actually are trying to gank him. Koikba in somewhat of a vulnerable position.
The second they got that Blink Dagger, they instantly smoked up and went for a play. Yapsol's holding behind Koikba, and with the Martial Machines, they'll have to go underneath the tower and take the damage. This is the only way that Alliance will be able to do it, but they'll be happy with it. S4, nice pickup by Yapsol, picks him up, throws him down, the split will happen, and Koikba, oh, he's up and towards the air. Admiral Bulldog will arrive as well, so Yapsol, low on life, makes a break for the tree line. They still manage to bring down the Rubik. Koikba with a laser. Arcade so low, down to 2 HP. Thanks as well to the Shallow Grave, he will survive. So the gank is successful, the Brewmaster split will work. And this will be a T1 tower as well, going the way of Alliance.
Another perfectly timed push from Alliance, or gank push rather. And
they're still going to have the Mass Serpent Wards. They can attack to the tier 2 tower here.
I think if Kezio had used Darkness, they wouldn't have been able to see where Tinker was, because he could have just BOT'd out in time. I mean, you're not going to risk Blink clapping when the Tinker's already there. I guess maybe they might have, just because they're confident that he didn't TP away, but Darkness would have made that a lot easier. And I'm not sure what Kezu's saving it for, because it's about to hit Darkness anyways.
Maybe he's... Okay, yep, S4, pick up. Yaps just got to throw him away. Yeah, they admit the fact that bottom tower is gone. They had ways to actually deep-push after Ether Shock level 4 was stolen by Rubik. They knew they can get rid of the creep wave, but there was no way to come in close enough, not with the Brewmaster split looming. And the posturing as well from Alliance.
will be going for the Yasha. Trez Yasha, I think far more damage than the phase Yasha, but they're not shutting down as quickly. Hello, Roshan, and there's a time.
Yeah, send the trees in here, which is just not going to help Loader at all, because this means he gets clapped. They need to block the spell shield so EGM can at least get the Hex off, buy them some free time to attack in.
Yeah, they're good. DD's still lasting for quite some time. Level 2 healing ward still out from Loda. They okay.
Trade-off is the tier 1 tower on top lane. Last hit actually didn't go the way of Medusa, which is not the greatest thing in the world. But Negus Demol now into the hands of Loda. That was a lot faster thanks to the double damage. And escape. It's a standard trade-off. Except normally you're at that point where you trade the tier 2 for Roshan. In this case, they only traded the tier 1.
Yep. They still have time for Tinker to buy his Blink though. And this should make him extremely difficult to kill. Let's check the status for EGM's Blink. Wow, EGM is 2,300 gold too. So Blink for Blink.
But he didn't buy it. Well. He bought something else.
Okay, what did he buy?
Ogre Club.
Ogre Club. Oh, okay, they're going for Scepter. They're going for the push.
Either that or he wants to be the solid lockdown and gets himself a BKP, but...
Wow, that's pretty... I did not expect that coming out from EGM. So...
normally he would be the initiator.
Yep.
Well, they feel strong enough that having just the Brewmaster Blink and the Prophet TB over is enough. Maybe the other Blink Dagger we should be looking at is Loda's timing as well. Okay, are they going to smoke right now? Because they are pretty close to Radiant Observer Wards. They're grouped up like they want to smoke. Okay, it's visible under 1. Yep. Okay, they see S4 moving as well. But I think they... he's not going to have Scepter that soon, but yeah, he has committed to the Scepter over the Blink Dagger. That's an important decision in this game, because I think that Alliance wants to... Their timeline is much sooner than I expect. I expect it to be pretty soon with the Shadow Shams. Like, oh, okay, maybe they'll try and kill Tinker now and then with the Blink Dagger, but no. They're going for the push. Maybe this is their way of also completely avoiding a split push game. And like Admiral Bulldog keeps the lanes in check enough that you're not going for a heavy trade-off, but then the mass open wards get committed, and you take a very early Rax, and then Bulldog will have more space to actually keep the lanes controlled, and this Tinker won't be able to achieve as much. Yep. 1 Rax is sometimes not enough for the Tinker, though. Syndra might pop a smoke over here. Oh, there's 2 denials now of towers as well. And yep, it's going to be Syndra initiated on. Loader right behind him, starts up the spin. And Shaman is the man to get the kill. Only spin stolen by Rubik. So out of the 3 towers which Escape managed to get, 1 of them was hit by a creep, and the other 2 were denied by Admiral Bulldog. Yeah, Tinker's still fat though. I don't know if he's going to be enough to hold off this push though. It's a very dangerous cliff that Alliance are approaching, and if they fail 1 push, it's pretty all in without any way to catch a Tinker, but they feel confident in their draft, confident in their push, confident in their items. Life could also get a lot harder as well once that Night Stalker completes up the Ags. Notice that Keizu isn't even here. He's up on top lane, he's 500 gold short of the Ags. He doesn't do anything with Ags though. The Alliance don't really care if they see him. True, because Alliance just walk at him, but it said like Alliance need to be a little bit more creative to jump in. They don't need to walk at him. That's what you need to do, you just walk at him. You have Juggernaut with Aegis up front, they go on him, whatever, he has spin, they have Grave, they have heal, no big deal. If they go on Brewmaster, they Grave into split, and if they don't go, the Shadow Shaman Ward will take down the tower. So I think the Ags is kind of irrelevant for the Night Stalker, especially with the Alliance committing to the early GG. Okay, maybe not. So they're going for a Midas now on Brew, so maybe not the early GG. Well, why does it feel like Alliance are not on the same page as each other? I'm not sure. Because they've already gotten most of the T2s out, so EGM doesn't really need the Scepter unless he's pushing a tier 3 tower. Yeah, unless he's pushing a tier 3, but... and if you're not pushing a tier 3, you get a Blink Dagger so you can find initiations. Koifa, okay. Blinks up, he's so close to Admiral Bulldog. This is the nervous point with a Tinker. Yeah. I guess S4 just has the backup plan. Okay, he can get Vlads and AC and whatnot to help the Nature's Prophet and the Juggernaut do damage in the late game. It's not like Loda or Bulldog committed for an early GG build. Early GG build would have been like a mech on the Nature's Prophet, let's say. EGM reveals himself. Yapsol only needs to pick off Koifa's going to be here to help out. And, well, EGM, it's the spin of Yapsol. There's to go ring a Rosie around the trees. Massive Moore's committed along with the Shackles. Bulldog's going to commit, and EGM He just walks himself out of his own wards, finds the kill over on the Rubik. That is the amount of stuff from wards going on cooldown, however.
Who needs Blink when you have 1400 HP with infused raindrops? That was nice.
Yeah. But they can't use the mass open wards to force the issue. Like, they can go up against the tier 2 tower anyway.
Yeah, but it was without a scepter anyway, so it's not that big a deal. Now he has a scepter. Now they can still push with or without having the Aegis. EG, they don't have any way to get to him.
Tinker's coming to the top lane. Loader instantly starts to spin. This is now the second time I've seen Quote for TP directly on top of an Alliance hero. The other time was S4 in mid.
When are they going to go for the push with the scepter? Or are they going to go for the push with the scepter? I bet Escape are actually wondering the same thing too. It's like, what the heck? You didn't go for Blink?
It's really wrecking your brain, isn't it?
It is.
It doesn't feel right. Something is wrong.
It's a little strange. Well, actually, it's not the Blink that throws me off. It's more the Midas on Brew that throws me off.
Yeah.
Because I think they could have committed with like a Vlad's or a Pipe.
Unless that's the plan B.
Yeah. But if you like half commit to a plan, you could like, let's say everyone commits to the push early. Like you get a mech on Nature Prophet, let's say a Pipe on Brewmaster. You have the Scepter on Shadow Shaman. Maybe you can just end the game at 25. And not deal with the Tinker. Tinker might be able to like stall out the push, but he won't be able to kill them and prevent the tower damage from happening.
It might have also been because they're waiting for the next Roshan. Like the next Roshan could be up in 2 minutes time from now, and with a Midas you'll guarantee you'll have a second major item by the time you're ready to push.
Yeah.
And also having the higher levels.
Or you could have 2 major items.
You could have 2 major items. Jump comes on the outdoor, pick up on S4, wants to throw him back for the spin from Loader. No way to escape from that.
Easy pick off. And looks like Juggernaut committing for a late game build too with the Perseverance, but here they go. The Scepter.
They're going to fight into March. So Wards are down, S4 very aggressively blinking forward. Doesn't have Aegis anymore, remember he's still has to split and he's fading into it with the silence. Actually making so he cannot split. The Shallow Grave will allow him to get back out. Loader, stone gazed up, wants to outrun it, but the void from the Night Stalk will be more than enough. Wards can take care of it now, in comes S4. Starts to split, Synderen the most exposed to the front lines, very quickly brought down. The shock from EGM ensuring it, and that Tombstone won't last much longer. The fact it's already gone down, but Alliance are on the retreat. Synderen buys back, straight to the front lines. They're keeping up with the Brewmaster. Bulldog tries to create a little bit of space. As S4 into the trees, they get the pick, they get the grab. And the split actually stolen here from Yapsor. They need the grab on Arcade, but they do not have the stun available. They'll see EGM, but it's all too late. So the tier 3 tower is taken. You gave a Brewmaster split to a Rubik. And you lost both your Juggernaut as well as your Brew. Who really is coming out on top of this?
See, this is where the decision comes in. It's like, what if he had a team fight item instead of the Midas?
What if he had that
Vlad's? Exact push? What if he had Vlad's? What if he had Pipe? And maybe Juggernaut wouldn't have died. Maybe they'd be able to get that, get a range Rex instead of having to back off early. But at the same time, you have to consider Alliance's late game and their potency going there. It would have been much worse for the late game had they not built this Midas on the Brew.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, this push strat is going to get harder and harder as Era gets bigger and bigger. He doesn't actually finish up the Manta style. He just built a Lincoln Sphere coming out in the courier.
Maybe not wanting to get kited by the Brewmaster and constantly thrown up in the air. Not kited, just controlled by the Brew.
Quite possible. But then you've also got EGM who's soon going to have his Blink Dagger.
Yeah.
So
you can easily just like stun him and then throw him up in the air and just deal with everyone else.
Yeah.
Or just siege the base. So Alliance still in a pretty good position. Shadow Shaman, he's gonna have his Blink anyways, so looks like at the end of the day the decision for Scepter or Blink first won't matter that much for them. Escape have pretty good map control. You mentioned the Scepter already out for Gezu. And the Gem. What is this Ring of Health for? Is that for Lotus?
On the Night Stalker?
Yep.
It could well be. It could just also be like, we saw it in the last game, right? Like that casual ring early on, just so he's got more lane sustain.
You don't need it. He has a high natural regen as Night Stalker.
What he needs and what he grabs, maybe two different things. Yep, so still wanting to fight. He's got this Bruise split for a fraction of a second longer, so he picks up S4 and then goes into the split. They want to isolate S4, unable to do so as the Dazzle gets up towards the air. So no Shallow Grave available for the moment. It's just the Rubik Brewlings having to back out. The Medusa's pushing the mid lane in the meantime. So Alliance, like, they don't want to fight this. The Juggernaut gets sent up, the rockets from Tinker, the spam is quite good. The tier 2 tower is still being brought down by Era while Alliance are being forced to fight. Keizu keeping up with the pace, Aghanim Scepter, oh, he's got the silence! S4 won't get the split off in time, he gets bursted down. Keizu, he can't die here, they've lost the Gem of True Sight, he got picked up by Loda, and now he's running out, but look at the rotation. Era's coming over from the mid lane down to the bot, they're looking for an opening, turning on the zone gate. EGM trapped on the side, he'll drop down the towards the Absol heal is nowhere near enough, and Bulldog also jumping down, looking for Synderen, will TP away successful, and this leaves Era stranded and brought down underneath the tier 2 tower. They lose Gem and they lose the fight.
There is no way they should take that fight. That was a very optimistic stone gate by Medusa, but the bigger problem is that the Tinker can't get there for the fight. You want to take fights around creep waves, around towers, so that Tinker can BOT there, maybe even bottle up some low teammates and then spam all his spells, but when you take a fight near the Alliance T2 without a good way for Tinker to get in there and set up for March, then you
already down. Era turns on the Stone Gate, trying to bring down Loader. There's still the Aegis Immortal to get through. The, well, okay, the second Wars is down, but it's Yapstor who managed to seal the Mass Serpent Ward, making a buffer between Alliance as well as Escape. But the Juggernaut, easy Omni Slash, bringing down the Night Stalker. The lasers and the Mass Rockets just keep flying out. The Aghanim Scepter over on that Tinker causing real issues for Alliance. And EGM, he's going to be a little annoyed he lost those Mass Serpent Wards.
It is quite hard to prevent a steal unless you get a...
instant shock?
Yeah, you have to have a target. That's the main problem. It's not so much that you...
S4?
Yeah, he's...
hello? Does Synderen know? Does anybody know?
Night Stalker might, if it were nighttime.
But now it's daytime. There's no way he'll know.
Oh my.
And the blink. Oh, S4! He's doing it inside the base! The damage! Oh! Wait. Really calculated? Was that actually calculated? Was that totally calculated?
He didn't have another choice. That was bold.
It's very bold.
What play?
S4 living life on the edge.
That's the way to do it. EGM actually pretty close to Refresher. If he's going Refresher, he has 18, 50 gold. He could have bought other Perseverance, maybe waiting for the recipe first. But it looks like Juggernaut going for BKB, so another tool to aid in the right-clicking of towers. But they have to be really careful not to give him the wards. And Rubik will still have wards for another 2 minutes, it looks like.
He had the level 11 at the time he grabbed it, so... this means it will last a while.
Yeah, I think it might be wise for them to like smoke and do that move. Well, speaking of smokes, 3 heroes in the mid, Loda, Ake, S4, they do not want to stop. They see this mid rack or bottom racks at half HP and they want to go in. Tinker's not going to be there. He's not going to be ready.
They're looking at Era. There's a Blink Dagger over on Loda, but no Omni Slash for 6 seconds. So they won't have this. Koipa's still got the top lane pushed in, so they're okay with that. Era is very confidently moving out. And notice that Era is also building into damage now. It's not this, I'm going to complete up mana style, eventually will be there. He picks up the Demon Edge. He needs to have some level of amplification to help get rid of these Alliance waves.
Yep, MKB extremely good versus the Brewmaster. And he still can get thrown up in the air, but it seems like he's more than enough of a front line to just right-click these wards down.
There's your Vlads. Comes out 28 minutes in for the Brewmaster, and that's after the Midas.
EGM is going for a refresher.
Well, they found Bulldog. They found Bulldog. They need to get that last bit of damage. With the Void, they've got it. Yapsaw putting those Mass Serpent wards to use.
Nice play by them. Nice play by Escape.
It's a Vanguard for KZU.
Going Crimson, I suppose.
Looks to be. And Era only needs a little bit longer to farm too. It's 700 gold until he's got that MKB.
Crimson very good versus the Brewlings. Not very useful versus Mass Serpent wards.
I'm fearful that Alliance have missed their timing.
I don't know.
That Escape are finally reaching a point where everything is just getting a little bit too much to deal with for Alliance.
That fight would have secured the melee racks had they not gotten the ward stolen. They were like really close to taking that down, but I think the Yapsaur's wards killed EGM's wards, and because of that, the racks was standing at like 15% instead of 0. So I don't think they're out of it yet. They have committed pretty hard, but they are getting decent returns from it. EGM just straight dropping in on that bottom tower.
It's like he's trying to get him back off it. Okay, well, Cinderin, yeah, Cinderin and Yapsaur, no. Okay, now the focus will come onto the tower.
It's at half HP. That's a good cast of wards, I'd say.
If it's worth the money. I suppose when you're just trying to break the base, then yeah, it's going to be worth the money.
Yep, they're trying to end the game quickly, but it's extremely difficult for Stinkerdusa.
They still hold on to the gem. Like, Alliance still have the stolen gem. They don't have it actually on them, they've left it back at base. And yeah, now they have to buy a brand new one. So Yapsaur spending a little bit of his money, considering how much of a force this Yapsaur Rubik has been in past games. It's always a sad sight when he's going to spend that extra money on another gem instead of having his Blink Dagger or picking up the Aghanim Scepter.
I wonder how they're going to deal with Medusa in these fights, because S4 will probably call for a Lincoln break on him, but I don't really know who's going to pop the Lincoln. Oh, Wrath of Nature. So they can call for like a Wrath of Nature on him and then cycle him and then deal with all the other people.
Is it after like Loda finishes the BKB, he just builds into something like a Diffusal Blade as well? So he gets all over that Medusa?
Their goal is not to kill the Tinker though, their goal is to kill towers.
Yeah, so if you're going to do that, then you need to sock your ass, but maybe that was what you need from S4 early on too.
Yeah.
But he built the Vlads because he's not reaching the AC timing.
I think even Dezo would be really good for him. I don't know if he can commit to that sort of damage build at this point, but if they really wanted to go all in, it'd be Vlad's AC pipe on the Brew and then the Dezo on the Juggernaut.
You're still talking about like 10-15 minutes worth of farm time though.
Yeah, well I'm saying if they had been able to plan it out like 10 minutes ago, let's say. But at this point, yeah, they already have the items that they could, but they did full out commit to it. They do have the Dazzle medallion, so can just cast that on the Juggernaut. I still think he's like fairly safe during the spin attack on the tower. And Shadow Shaman just 100 gold away, and I wonder if he's going to sell a stick for it, and if they want to push off the back of the next Aegis. So it will be a BKB. This is all out full siege build. The only thing being a little bit different is no mech on NP and the Midas on the Brew, but everything else points towards let's end the game ASAP.
While all it appears Escape has to do is just hold in there. Somehow I've managed to get 3 games of Medusa during this qualifier where she just sits in Radiant Base and waits. Let the creep waves come to her, she continues to farm up, continues to get massively strong.
This game she should feel a lot more comfortable in their late game as opposed to the other ones that we saw coming out from Fantastic 5. This time she is the queen of the late game. Yeah. Maybe not, but the only threat that's going to be comparable to her late game is going to be the Tinker. Juggernaut sometimes pose a little bit of a threat, but without a Manta Diffusal build, he cannot deal with the Medusa.
It's a smoke move. Alliance trying to scout it out with trees, look towards Roshan. So an easy ward down. No one's really coming in closer. Admiral Bulldog is revealed in the bottom lane. S4 and Lotus showed themselves in the mid. So the smoke maneuver from Escape is not really coming up with anything, and it is actually going to be a Diffusal Blade coming up here for Loda.
I would have liked to see the Treant on patrol right outside the roast pit to potentially scout out a smoke. It's not really that much more added micro from Nature's Prophet, but the reward is pretty great.
I suppose there's also no real catch while the Rubik's only got a 4-star. Like if it was a Blink Dagger, he might be a little bit more scared.
But Refresher up on EGM, and Aegis up very, very soon. Yeah, so they're going with the backup plan with the Diffusal to eventually kill the Medusa.
Yeah, they needed something that would burn the mana. Roshan's up in 5, 6, 7, around that.
Yep. Tinker is very difficult to post up in the Roshan area without any summons around the pit. Theoretically, you can TP on the zombies, but that's a far cry.
That's why we need to run it with ET so we can TP onto the Spirit every single time.
So, does Alliance have a gem?
Yeah, they had one, but it's back at base, so they don't know about the Obstacle on the hillside. It's the one they stole. So here comes Escape with that Aghanim 7 they dig in. S4 instantly goes for the split. He's just trying to create space here so Alliance can complete up Roshan, which they'll be able to do so. Now, where is your openings? Cinderin is kind of one. Era is the big one. Turns on the Stone Gaze. Might want to get rid of that healing ward, which is sitting down next to him. It's now, well, Bulldog, that TP in, he came in the middle of the escape line, was up the hill. Massive wants to go down, trapping Era in position. The Tombstone's making this a little bit harder to fight, but until it was brought down, Aegis Immortal will trigger, bringing Bulldog back to life. But the rest of Escape, they are leaving. Yapsor actually is up on the
getting
top
chased
lane.
down by Loda. He got diffused up.
Oh, okay, so that's another gem. They're going to lose that second gem.
Wow, that was a sick play by Bulldog. It seemed like a YOLO TV, but he has Aegis, throws up Mjolnir. You're gonna get wrecked if you just walk away.
Gonna say, we have a new prophet on the field. It's currently Yapsor. He stole teleportation.
Not gonna help in the face defense, though.
He at least pushes the top lane in. Mass Serpent Wants go down, and then he steals Mass Serpent Wants. That'll help with base defense. And Loda just tries to spin and do damage to the tower, but the tower is still protected by fortification. Now he BKBs up as well. Looking for a quick opening, Diffuser Blade charges, still got a couple of those left. Syndra try and remove that life with Decay, but the BKB will now wear off. And they get the laser, bounce through 4, jump forward in a second by Kuiper, but the mana is just so short, he has to go back to base to regenerate. And there's no creep wave up the mid, so he can't rejoin the rest of his teammates. So he goes down to the bottom lane to get the split lane going on. But the melee Rax remains alive in the mid. So Alliance
saved by Yapsor.
Don't get more.
As well as EGM's farming, that is the second time he has given wards, the second time that Alliance could have taken the melee Rax had he not given up the Shadow Shaman wards. Unfortunately for Escape, they had to use the buyback on Medusa, and that was a good situation for them in that they were dealing with only one set of Shadow Shaman wards because he had committed one to the pit. So I guess you can kind of say that it was good for Escape and that they got rid of the Aegis, but I think dealing with two separate wards is more threatening than an Aegis, because even if Yapsor steals one, he can't steal two.
Yep.
And his aren't Axe wards.
Not unless he gets an Aghanim Scepter.
Alright, Escape actually pushing at this point?
It looks like it. It's like they want to try and force an issue. There's no Master from wards up for 27 seconds. No Wrath of Nature, and Era is still fairly tanky.
Yeah, but he can die here without buyback.
True.
That would be an issue.
But with the harassment, if they can get an Observer Ward inside the base, and again, and we got an Aghanim Scepter over on the Night Stalker, they see up so far that this mass rocket spam is going to cause issues for Alliance. Yeah, okay, yeah, you got Healing Ward. That does help. And they chip down the tower by 2/3.
Not worth a Medusa buyback. They were probably pretty desperate to try and get something done with that, but that's very hopeful for them. So they still do have. Oh, did they actually use cheese or they passed it to someone else? Okay, they passed it to
cheese
Brew.
is on Shaman, or was on Shaman.
No, it was on Shaman. They passed it to Brew. I thought he used it too because it wasn't in his inventory.
Right, it's on S4 now.
So S4 looks like he's closing in on off money for another item. Wonder what it's going to be.
Solcuros probably pretty high on the priority list.
I think so was Pipe, but and then Pipe spamming words about Pipe this entire series, but looks like
That's a BKB.
Tinker has a lot of magic damage. Yeah. Dagon 5 Aether. He doesn't have room for his Aether when he's inside his face.
He potentially could have taken it now, but it looks like he wants to use some bottle charges while he's out in the field. Keizu, very close to the Alliance players who are moving down mid lane. This time the creep wave is there, so if you want to bring in the Tinker, yeah, he switches in the Ether lens, ready to fight it up. S4 as well as Bulldog a long way down, and that's why you're seeing Keizu and Yapsor. They want to loop around and get a surprise hit, or at least get more information, understand what they're up against. And they're up against all 5 players of Alliance until Prophet just TPs to top lane. Is there any vision from the Dire side? No, they're sending a Juggernaut illusion, and they caught a very short glimpse. They just saw Keizu. S4 blinks over, the tombstone's down by Cinderin. Now he's gonna soar if we keep it up a little bit longer, but that is most definitely lost.
It's a very smart play from Alliance. They clearly know how to deal with Night Stalker. Just stick together as a group. Oh, nice.
Cinderin caught, Bulldog finds Keizu. So got the Iron Tail on him, so he cuts himself free of the Sprout.
They're getting kills during nighttime and winning the vision gazes, but as I mentioned before, vision not that big a deal when you're clustered at the group of 5. Nice.
These ran out. So Yapsor just threw down the Mass Serpent Wards. They're already ready on bottom lane for the push.
EGM, where's he going to throw his wards? Looks like one's mid, right? Yapsor's ready to steal them though.
Yeah, but can he use them? He already used the Mass Serpent Wards on bottom lane. So technically he wasn't the cooldown remain on Rubik.
Well, it ran.
Oh, now the Mass Serpent Wards go up, pick him up, throw him back down again. Yeah, the Mass Serpent Wards still have a cooldown, even though he's able to steal. EGM triggers both Cheese as well as the refresh roll. Mass surrounding Era with the Mass Serpent Wards. Bulldog is battling Kuiper on the back lines while this is all going on. Kuiper needs a TP out, he'll go down. There's no buyback available for Kuiper anymore, and it is Alliance rampaging through. They'll take out the mid racks, and the rotation's coming quickly. They're going down to bottom lane, they're down to Dazzle, but also at the same time Escape, they're going to buy back on the Tinker. Alliance, now is bail time. Cinderin, they're so slow. Keizu has Void up in just a second. He has Darkness as well. The nighttime is just about to wear off. He's got to trigger it again to keep this chase going. They find EGM, bringing him down. But the rest of Alliance are bailed out, so they take out mid racks. Bottom lane also slightly injured. Range racks down, they didn't attack the melee at all. And this is now the 3rd gem purchase coming out from Escape.
And that's a lot of wasted gold. The buyback on the Tinker, as you mentioned, many gems from them, and Alliance with another smart maneuver going for that range racks. Feeling threatened by a Tinker buyback, and that was pretty decent from Alliance. Even getting the ward still another time. As you mentioned, Yapsor had used it before, so it wasn't actually that bad for them. And the one time he can't actually use the wards, they get a lot of buildings.
Well, Roshan's still not a minute away from potential spawn time, so Escape can't just slip themselves in and grab that. And they also don't want to fight right now, it's still daytime.
They have to fight soon though, or else they'll just keep sieging with the refresher on the Shadow Shaman.
Well, you have to wait a minute then.
What? EGM has BKB now?
Yeah, he's got a BKB. And he refuses to buy the Blink Dagger.
No, I think the BKB is great, especially now that he's a refresher. He doesn't need to get the Blink off because he's just walking up and dropping at the tower. And he has the...
So the BKB shackles as well, 2 times over, lockdown, even better.
And it's just to not die to Tinker, because Tinker can still blow him up in 2 volleys of spells with the Dagon 5 Aether.
Oh, they get the vision.
Yeah, but this is one of the problems with Tinker. You can hold high ground for a pretty long time, but it's actually sieging. You cannot hit towers, and you especially cannot hit towers when you don't have buyback.
Oh, that's just when you get Era or Rapier, right? He's on 2k
yeah.
gold holding onto a Demon Edge.
Yep.
Oh, they go in. Loader, Stone Gaze out from Era. The Brewmaster Split's already gone off, and that's actually what sends The Medusa up and towards the air. Now the Brewlings are preloaded. Triggers his BKB. Error again. Massive more trucks up. They're combining up with the shackles of EGM. The laser and the Dagon's bringing Bulldog down. He finally triggers off that BKB of his as Keizu trapped. Not again, Keizu. You only just bought it. This is why you can't have nice things. Syndrome will sacrifice his life so they can have him. And Keizu holds on to the gem, the third one of theirs, but there's no Medusa. She has buyback available.
Another desperate measure by Escape. Trying to push high ground with your Tinker and your Medusa. Your lineup is not tailored towards that, but they know that if they don't fight outside of base, Alliance are just gonna take the fight inside of theirs with the Serpent Wards. And looks like one Serpent Ward was committed to that last fight, but Shadow Shaman with another one at the ready. Let's see if the Absor can pull his magic once again.
Here they come. Goodbye range racks. May just be one of these fights, but you just don't fight. Fortification will pop. It delays a little bit more time. As Arcade very low on life. These rockets are a real pest. As Bulldog picked up quote for Dagon. Bulldog so low. He doesn't have his BKB. One more wave of rockets. Okay, that'll work too. Loader, well, force up. Pushes quote for Yaptor. Again steals Mass Serpent Wards. And forward jump, however. Quote is down. No buyback available. Medusa, Era comes to the front line. Cleans up the creep waves. Mass Serpent Wards of the Rubik have already been taken care of. As Era now needs to get rid of EGM's wards. They trigger the Lincoln Sphere, that was just with the Hex. The bottom rack's already gone, but Alliance hanging around, so they definitely want to find kills. Era trapped inside the Sprout. They'll force off him out now, thanks to Yapsor. The Stonegate again locking in these Brewlings with the split shot. Say goodbye to the Fire Brewling. You've still got the Storm as well as the Earth one, but they're coming into these Tier 4 towers. Loader picked up as he hits the ground, stuns up 3 of his teammates, but Medusa is gone, and that was enough for it. GG is a call. Alliance will bring it up to 2 games to 1 in their favor. They are 1 win away from going directly into TI, as opposed to having to do the hard road through the wild card. Both teams will still attend TI6, but who has the easier road?
Damn, that was a nice anti-Tinker strat by Alliance. I think the Medusa pick was...